Look at that, guys. I'm standing inside Hayes Pipe and Steel. This is a great build. If you want to see how I got to this point, watch the video coming right up. Bam. Alright guys, I thought we'd get down to the final bit of Gary Weiss's build here, like I was going to do in the last video, but didn't get time to do it because it got too long. We're going to go ahead and put this little trim on here, oops, get over there, to make it look like all of these stanchions are connected. So anyhow, with all that being said, we need to take off all the tape that's on here, and after we do that, we'll start gluing this piece down. And once this piece is down, basically we can start putting the four walls together, get it mounted onto the foundation, and finally get a good look at what this is going to look like as a building for Mr. Gary Weiss's Hayes Pipe and Steel. So with all that being said, stay tuned and we'll be right back. Alright guys, now that I have all the masking tape off of here, we're going to start putting our trim pieces on, and we're just going to go ahead and just dab some glue on here, just like this. Not very much, just enough to hold it in place. And then we'll take our deal and we'll lay it in there and give it a couple minutes to dry, and then we'll cut it down to size. And then I'll do up to and after these pieces. So we'll give that a few minutes to dry, and I'll do this piece complete so you guys can see how it's done, and then I'll go ahead and do the rest of it off camera. So with that being said, we'll be back in a few minutes. Guys, just a little heads up, when I start doing these, what I do is I do one long one first, and then I fill in the little guys. And unfortunately, this was the last piece that was painted, so I had to go out and paint another piece, and it should be just about dry for now. But anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and have a little sip of my coffee here. And when that piece dries up, we'll continue on this. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. Alright guys, as you can see, I got most of these all done. And as you would guess, for the last piece right here, I ran out of material, so I had to paint another strip of styrene for that. But meanwhile, while that's drying up, we'll go ahead and start putting this guy together. So what you see in front of me right now is the main back wall and some of the stanchions that we're going to be using here. And we're just going to use regular glue to put this down. First we're going to take the tape off of here. I had the tape on there just as a mock-up. So with all of that being said, how am I going to keep these straight? Well, I really don't know. So we're just going to use my little square that I have right here, and we're going to do just like this, and we're going to glue it down with just regular glue, and hopefully, let me just make sure that we're good on the back side here. And we're good. Okay, so this is the back wall. It's the full wall like I explained to you way back in the beginning of this build. And we're going to go ahead and lay this down on its side. These two are already kind of glued in, as you can see. Also, if you can see up here in the top, right here, I made these notches for these guys to sit in to kind of give it some kind of support. And it seems to be working pretty good. As you can see, they're in there pretty good. So anyhow, with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and start on the back side here, and we'll see how this is going to work out. So, a little tip for you guys on glue. Now, if you don't have your little pin to stick in there, and this gets clogged up and you have no way to unclog it, take a cigarette lighter, heat it up here, and you'll see a puff come out, and you'll be good to go. Just a little hint. Okay, so now let's go ahead and stick some glue on here. And then we'll put this guy in place. Make sure he's even on the top and in the back wall. And now to make him straight, where's my little? We're just going to go ahead and put this guy inside of here and just make him straight. And we're going to hold him for a second or two so he can get kind of tacky a little bit. And also we can do it this way to make sure he's straight this way and this way. So now what I'm thinking is I'm going to leave two of these loose. So Gary, if he wants to, he can pull it out and move the crane. Otherwise there'd be no way for him to get his hands in here. So I'm going to leave number 3 and number 5 loose, and they will just be able to slide into the building when he's not moving the crane around. So anyhow, with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and hold this here for a few minutes, and we'll hold the video up and we'll come back when the next section is in. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm still waiting for that one piece trim to finish drying up, but meanwhile I have already secured 1, 2 of the stanchions right now, and now we're going to do the front wall, and I do have it covered up here for a reason, and we'll find that out as we go on. But anyhow, we're going to go ahead and put him in place and glue him, make sure he's straight up and down, and I'm using my cutting pad to make sure the building stays square, and so far it's looking pretty darn good if you ask me. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on this guy, and we'll put him up here. And then the corners, I'm going to be putting some angle irons on there to just finish off the outside, make it look a little bit better. Anyhow, that being said, let's go ahead and glue this piece in place. So we're just going to go ahead and put some glue down here, a lot of glue. Alright, and then we'll put him in here. Make sure he's even and flush with the other wall. Make sure he's square with the squaring. And we're looking good. All right, and now, if I could find my square, make sure he's square up and down. And I wish I knew where my other one was. Here it is. There's on this side. And we're looking really, really good. All right. So, as soon as that last piece dries up of the trim, we can go ahead and put this wall on here. And then our building will be pretty much in, not going to say completed, but semi-completed state, which is a good thing. So anyhow, I'm going to let this dry up over here, and then we'll come back and we'll continue on. Alright guys, now that you see I have all of my X bracing on this wall, we're going to go ahead and attach it to the main building here. First we're going to do the 2 ends, and then we'll do the middle ones. I don't have any specific reason why I'm doing that other than to try and keep it square while I'm putting it together. So anyhow, we'll go ahead and put some glue on here, and I'm using my regular Model Masters glue only because it gives me a little extra play time to get this done. So I'm going to go ahead and put some on here, and then also on the front half of the building. And so, with all that being said, we'll go ahead and stick this guy on here, make sure he's even and good to go. And then we'll do the same for this guy over here. I'm just going to hold this down for a few minutes just to make sure that it stays, and then all the rest of these should just fall right into place. And so you can actually see this building starting to come together. As soon as this is dry enough, I will stand it up, and then I'll slide some glue down into the grooves on these ones. And like I said, I'm going to leave 2 of these empty, so he'll be able to stick his hand in here and move the crane, whatever he wants to move the crane. Let's see, we're not doing very well there. Come on, stay. Be nice. Stay for Uncle Vinny. And you too. And make sure that this is nice and even on the edges here. And what I think I'm going to do is just do this right now, just to hold it in place. And then we'll do the same thing on the back side, which seems to be pretty good right now. But we'll do the same thing on the back side just to hold it in place. And then, I think, with all that being said, we should be able to stand this up. And get these all lined up again. All right, guys. Well, the only thing left for me to do now is to secure the ones that are not secured. And then we're going to marry this to the foundation. So with all that being said, I'll bring you back when all of these are secured and we're ready for the next step. Be back in a few. All right, guys, what you're looking at right now is the crane assembly. And as you can see, I put some I-beams up here and I painted them a metallic color just to get a little bit more color in here. Now, the next most tedious job I'm going to do is this guy. And I already did one side right here, and it is pretty tough. And I'll tell you, if I had a different color thread, I would have used a different color thread so you could see it up here on these barrels. But anyhow, it's just a matter of feeding it in, feeding it up, feeding it, and so on and so forth. And then I will glue it on the bottom, such as I did with this side already. And I use super glue for that. Anyhow, I'm not going to bore you with doing this because it is tedious and it takes a few minutes to do. But I will bring you back when this guy is done. So I'll see you in a few minutes. Alright guys, as I told you way back when I was putting this frame together that I was going to make it adjustable, and I am so glad that I did, because I could not get this car under the crane, which is another bad miscalculation. So in order to do that, I had to bring all of these up, all of these stanchions I had to bring up, which I told you guys was an adjustment that I was going to be able to do. But now my other beams are kind of short. So I need to figure out a way to fix that, and I'm probably going to add like this little piece of angle iron, angle plastic I should say, and jack it up a little bit underneath. I'll paint all this the same color as the foundation, so, or as the framework, so it looks like it's part of the framework. But anyhow, that'll slip under here like that, and then I'll be able to push this down, not quite as far as I need to, and that'll help me. So anyhow, I already adjusted this side. I'm also going to cut out a section of this. I know Gary's using code 55. I think he's using microengineering. I'm not sure, but anyhow, this will be another 10,000ths that I can drop the track down and give me just a little bit more clearance. So I always tell you guys, when you're doing a scratch build and you run into a situation, the motto is adapt and overcome, and so that's what I am doing at this point, is adapting and overcoming this situation. Anyhow, we're really close. The 4 walls on the building are done. The crane is completed. The building has been dull coated. Now I am not going to go out and spend $7 for a can of paint that's half the size of it, or a quarter of the size of this, when I could pay less than $4 for this. It's called Flat Crystal Clear, and it's a Krylon product. I will do this every single time. So anyhow, that being said, let me go ahead and adjust this side, and we'll kind of see how it looks, and maybe we'll even do the reveal here pretty soon. So with all that being said, stay tuned, and we'll be back in a little bit. Alright guys, as you can see right now, I have the crane pretty much finished. And if you guys are wondering where I got the hook from, let me take this out of here so you can see it. I actually scavenged that off of my work crane that I have. Eventually I'll buy another crane, but for right now I needed the hook. And I'm going to take the other hook off of that crane also for the next build. Anyhow, I also went ahead and inside of here, I went ahead and filed it down because there was a little molding flashing that was sticking out over here. Once I filed that down, and I used my my little metal file right here, I just went in here and just kind of sanded it down. I don't know if you guys are going to see this, but right there, there's that little black thing right there. Well, that was a flashing that I sanded down, and because I did that on both sides, it now makes this a lot easier to maneuver over the track. Anyhow, this build was not without a lot of mistakes. And I told John Tanzillo about it, and his response to me was, I was creating something that is not really there. And with that being said, I'm glad I made these stanchions adjustable, because when I start to test it out, I could not get a bulkhead flat underneath the crane. So what I had to do was cut out the black plastic that I showed you guys early on in this video, and what I did was I forced Gary to put his track as far over to this side of the structure so it'd have enough room. And I also adjusted all of these up to 34 millimeters to the top of the rail. And with that being done, I'm now able to get the bulkhead flat under with no problem. And I don't have the track there yet, but I did try it with track, and it does work with the track. The other problem I had, if you guys also remember, that I put one of these up here in the front. Well, because that was there, I could not get a coil car under there, so I had to take that guy out and improvise a couple other different kinds of stops. Anyhow, with all of that being said, basically the foundation is done, the crane rails are done, the crane is done. Oh, and by the way, when I wrapped the thread around here, one had to go clockwise and the other had to go counterclockwise. So when they rotate opposite each other, and it raises and lowers the hook. Anyhow, I thought that was pretty interesting and pretty tedious to do also. All right, so that's that, and that's that. So in this video, we are going to, back this out of it, marry the structure with the foundation, and then we will do a reveal. So with all that being said, stay tuned, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Alright guys, what you're looking at right now is the backside of the building and the backside of the platform or foundation with the crane installed. And what we're going to do right now is do a test fit to see if this will fit on all the spots that I have designated for these stanchions to be fitted on. So with that being said, it's pretty strong. It's a pretty strong structure. As you can see, I'm bouncing it pretty much. I'm not showing you the front yet, only because there is some more detail on the front. And I need to put a piece of styrene on the inside of this here because it's kind of a little bit warped. As you can see how flexible it is. So I need to put a piece of styrene on the inside of there and make it look like kind of like the part of the foundation. Anyhow, with all that being said, I'm going to slide this over here, and let's see how this is going to fit. Do-do-do-do. Uh-oh, come on. Come on, get down there. Very interesting, but strange. There you go. All right. So we have now married the two components of this build. So now it looks like everything is going to fit the way I have planned it. So with that being said, let's see, I think we need to go over this way a bit because that crane looks really close on that side. Okay, and why not removing? Alright, well, at least I know all my marks are going to line up and stuff. I just need to do some tweakation here to get it all in sync with each other. There you go, it just moved. Then, like I mentioned earlier on in this video, he could take two of these out, number 3 and number 5. So Gary, pay attention to this so you'll know how to do it. There are 2 grooves up here on the top, and all you need to do is line those grooves up and just go ahead and slide it down. And wham bam, thank you ma'am, that's all she wrote. And that's it. And then you can put this guy in here. And I would suggest leaving these in unless you're going to be moving the crane around. And when you move the crane, you need to be very gentle with it because remember, it's still only plastic. And so there you go. So now he's got a complete inside interior. And I think this is going to look pretty cool. And then for the final thing, what I'm going to do is, since this side right here is going to be facing the aisle, I'm going to give him a half a roof so he can show off all the detail that's going to be in there. And he'll be able to take this off because I'm not going to glue it down. And there you go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to secure everything to where it belongs. And when that's done, I'm going to do just a wee bit of weathering. And we'll be done with this project. So anyhow, I hope you guys and gals enjoyed this so far. We'll be back in a little bit. Alright guys, this is what it would look like if you were looking into the building from the entrance to the plant. As you can see up here, decal was done by Joe G. Joe, thank you very much. All the steel structure inside of here was done by John Tanzillo in his 3D printing, and I appreciate that very much, John. You did an awesome job with this. There's some touch-up spots I got to do on the gray, but that's, you know, not too bad. Just a couple of spots here and there that got ruined. As you can see, there's a locomotive and a car in there, and we'll slowly turn this around. And you can see this from the side. Now this is the side that will be facing the aisle on Gary's layout. So you'll be able to see all of that, plus all of the detail that I have installed in there. The crane, you can see the hook dangling. And as we come around here, the back side is just a plain wall. And now on this side here, this is what I'm considering the back side that will be facing his wall. But on my layout, these two openings, this opening and this opening here, go out to a backyard where they have a lot more inventory. Also, on my layout, my Smith pipe and steel, the locomotive comes in towards the front, not towards the side like that. Anyhow, this build was fun. There were a lot of challenges, a lot of mistakes were made along the way that I have rectified, and I showed in the videos as I was building. I'm not afraid to tell you guys about mistakes, because my mistakes mean you guys won't make the same ones. All right, guys and gals, I hope you guys enjoyed this 4-part series on Gary Weiss's build of Hayes Pipe and Steel. I had fun doing it. Like I said, there was plenty of mistakes in here, and I told John Tanzillo that, and his remark to me was I was creating something that wasn't really there. So basically I did a good job. Anyhow, as always, your questions, comments, inputs, subs, shares, and likes are always welcome. For now, that's all, folks. BNSF 6951 out.